minutes. But first, again, 20 odd years I'm presenting this show, and never before have I come across this condition, and I suspect it will be a new one for you as well. And it means that our next guest is in need of surgery for something that could be life-altering and potentially even life-threatening. I want you to meet Sarah Finan and Abby Markey. They are mum and daughter. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Will.
All the way from Kinnity in County Offaly. This story begins when Abby was very, very young. How many teeth taken out at the age of 3?
10. 10 teeth.
And Sarah, what were the circumstances that brought that about? That's highly irregular for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, Abby was born with this condition. It's called Amelogenesis Imperfecta, which means she had very little enamel on her teeth. So as a result, she had very sensitive teeth, but they were decaying a lot because there was no protection. So the dentist decided to remove the teeth to save her the pain when she was 3.
And what are your memories of growing up with this condition, Abby?
I didn't realise I had the condition until much later. So for a lot of the time when I was really young, I blamed myself for not having great teeth. So it was very hard. I was very self-conscious about everything. There were times, especially when my teeth started getting bad, because you get normal wear and tear, but when you've got no enamel on your teeth, that's the protective layer. So brushing my teeth sometimes, I'd be brushing and you'd go to spit out the toothpaste and a lump on my tooth would come to.
Wow.
Or I'd be eating pasta and I'd get a crunch and it would be part of my tooth breaking off. It was kind of traumatic at times, but I always blamed myself. And then
why? What did you think you were doing wrong?
I wasn't sure, because I would brush my teeth and it would still be going wrong, and I just remember being younger and having dentists say, oh, you're not doing things right, and like you need to floss better, you need to brush better, and I was sitting there going, but brushing's what's doing the harm.
And visibly, was there any sign the enamel was thin, or did your teeth appear to be like anybody else's?
They never really looked fully normal. But I remember my dad telling me when I was quite young that Marky's, we don't have white teeth, and I just thought it was something he said to me. But then I realised this is actually genetic, and even though it is rare, I actually kind of have the markers from both sides of my family, which I think is why I got such a rare form of the disease.
So Sarah, from your perspective, you're seeing all of this happen and you know it's not normal, that something is amiss. How long does it take to eventually get a diagnosis?
Abby was a teenager before we found out what was wrong. So it was a dentist in Dublin, actually, that my mum had found. My parents have been fantastic. But my mum brought her to a dentist and they diagnosed this. So it was a huge relief to both of us. Because, like Abby said, she carried the guilt, and I carried the guilt of it. I'm thinking, I get them to brush their teeth, I bring them to the dentist. And her teeth were visibly different. They were different colour, and the shape wouldn't have been exactly normal. But it's not something that's extremely obvious on the outside. But the dentist was very quick, actually, in Dublin to pick up and say this is. And once we had
I need you to pronounce
huge.
that term again, by the way.
Amelogenesis Imperfecta.
Did you have to go to Google?
Oh, so many times. And now if you look it up, of course, ChatGPT comes up because it's AI. But yeah, this was around before.
So a very steep learning curve.
Yeah. But a great relief at the time, because Abby really carried a lot of guilt about, what she was doing wrong and how, she was very vigilant with brushing her teeth and flossing and listened very carefully to what the dentist said. So when she got a diagnosis, actually was a big relief at the time.
Now, I mentioned at the outset that this can be life-altering, and for anybody who's listening and thinking, well, you're just describing a genetic or a cosmetic condition. This isn't about vanity. This isn't about appearances. What have you discovered as you've gone along?
Well, a couple of years ago, I got the remainder of my teeth out, and I was given dentures, and I was told I needed at least a year, maybe a bit longer, before I could consider implants. So when I went back recently for scans, for my implants, I was given really devastating news. The maxilla bone, or my top jawbone, has deteriorated rapidly since getting my teeth out. Normally with regular implants, they want you to have, like, in length and in width, about 4.5 to 5 millimeters.
Sorry, I was at 7 millimeters for the
implants.
7. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the millimeter, or the implant is 4 to 5.
Yeah, so you need that margin.
So you'd
then.
need a little bit more, yeah. Mine is 1.8. And back when I got my teeth out, it was over 2. So in a year, or in the
Sorry,
year and a
now
half.
I'm correcting you. It was
okay.
Her bone is now 1.4, but when she got her dentures, it was just over 4 millimeters. So she's lost over 2.5 millimeters of density in 2 years. So she has less than that left.
So it's only, forgive my rough maths now, it's only about a quarter of what you would need if you
than that even, yeah. So
and what's causing that to decay or to deteriorate?
It's a further the Amelogenesis Imperfecta. Some people have it that it just affects the enamel, but I seem to have it that it also affects my bone. So it's slightly rarer, but that's why there is, when you get your teeth out, because the roots of your teeth are the only thing that your jawbone really does. They keep them in. So there will be natural deterioration, which I was warned about, but no one expected that I had the form of the disease that would cause this to happen so rapidly. And because of this, the biggest worry now is within the next year or two, my jawbone could collapse, or will eventually collapse. But they were saying if I can make it 3 years, it would be a big deal. And it will become life-threatening, because if my jawbone collapses, it could then cause my sinuses to collapse. And that would stop me from breathing. So it's been a big shock to the system.
Yeah, that is a lot to process. What age are you?
I'm 23. So,
and what are your options?
Zygomatic implants. So they anchor in the zygomatic bone in your cheek instead of your normal jawbone, and they'll also prevent, I don't fully understand this, I might be able to say something more on it, but they will prevent the jawbone from deteriorating as well. But it's a relatively new procedure in Ireland, and a pretty costly one anywhere you want to go. But it's basically my only hope, and I have the year or two to get it done. And even at that, they said the sooner the better, really, to give my jawbone the best chance.
Now, here's where there will be a sense of déjà vu for listeners, in that we may not have discussed this particular condition before, but when we have talked about rare diseases, inevitably there's a problem where the state and the HSE is not set up to deal with it. And I see you nodding. So how are you going to make this procedure happen in Ireland, or do you have to go elsewhere?
Yeah, we've done a lot of research, and we found a hospital in Berlin, which Abby actually has our first appointment on the 7th of October. But yeah, we need to raise the funds for that ourselves. I haven't got an exact figure, yet, but from research that I've done, it could be anywhere from 60 to 120,000 euros to get this done. But I mean, it has to be done. So no mother ever wants to have to set up a GoFundMe page for something like this, but I did. And the response that we've gotten after, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, and the response has been incredible.
And Sarah, I assume you've looked into National Treatment Purchase Fund, all of the different state supports that are there.
I have, and we're still talking with the HSE back and forward, and the problem in Ireland is everything takes so long.
And this is urgent.
And this is urgent. So there's an awful lot of steps that we have to go through to possibly get some funding, which we're still trying, which is why I didn't set up the GoFundMe for how much I thought we would need, because I'm still very hopeful that the HSE will support us somewhat. But I mean, this isn't something that I can wait for a year to see how that works out. We just don't have that kind of time to mess around.
How are you doing in your head? Because this must be all-consuming.
Yeah, it is. I haven't been doing great. When I got the news in the dentist office, I kind of shut down halfway through. And I said it to my mum as I left, that I trust her with all of this, but right now it's too much for me mentally. So it's one of the main reasons she's been doing a lot of it, the research and everything for me, because I've just been trying to mentally prepare myself for what has to happen and prepare myself for the fact that it's a necessity, and I don't really have a choice anymore. But I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. And it's been really hard. I haven't actually really talked or told anyone. Anyone in my family who has found out has really found out from my mum. The only person I ever told personally is my partner. And even at that, I keep everything very brief because I don't really know how. The response from the GoFundMe has been incredible. But even with that, it brings its own mental challenge, because the closer it gets to reaching a goal, the more scary it gets, because it's getting more real.
And even today, even having to come in and to share the story so publicly, that is challenging in itself. But it speaks to, well, several things. Number one, your strength, the support you have, and also the mountain that you have to climb. But there are good people who have already made donations. Absolutely. And if anybody listening wants to dig deep and help out, what are they searching for?
It's on GoFundMe, Help Abby Get Urgent Surgery, I think is the...
And we'll share that link on midlands103.com later as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Can I wish you both the very best, and I hope you get that target. I hope you get the procedure soon, and all of this will be a distant memory in the not too distant future.
Hopefully.
Thanks very much.
Sarah and Abby, thank you.
Thank you.